Welcome back to the deep dive. We are officially in the thick of it now.
We really are.
This is episode 2 of our 15-part demolition series, The Upside Down Kingdom. And if you were here for the first part, we laid some pretty heavy groundwork.
Heavy is definitely the right word. We
Mhm.
drew the battle lines between two completely different operating systems.
Right. We spent the last deep dive unpacking what the sources call the binary algorithm. Just to recap, for anyone jumping in cold, the binary is that relentless, input equals output grind. You work hard, you get results, it's logical, it's fair.
But it caps you.
Right.
The sources argue it caps your life at a 20x return. It's just linear.
Exactly. And we contrasted that with the kingdom algorithm. That's the exponential model, the 30, 60, even 100x return. But the catch, and it's a massive catch, is you have to surrender control to get there.
And that really is the bridge to what we're talking about today.
It is. It brings us right here. Because we're looking at the research, we're looking at these biblical patterns, and we have to ask the scary question. Remember last episode, the binary algorithm caps you at 20x.
Right.
Today we're asking, what has to die for the 100x to even become possible?
It's the question nobody wants to answer.
Hmm.
Because the answer isn't, work harder or dream bigger. The answer is something inside you has to die.
The death sentence you need. That's the title of this deep dive. And looking at the notes here, I'm not going to lie, I'm already sweating.
Good. You should be. If this doesn't make you nervous, you're probably not paying close enough attention.
Okay, but before we jump off this cliff, we need to set some ground rules. We have to make a disclaimer here right at the top.
It's critical. We need to be absolutely clear about who we are and, maybe more importantly, who we aren't.
And we are not theologians.
Not at all. We're not seminary professors with tenure.
No, we're practitioners. We are digging through these sources, but we're also about 2 months into a really intensive Bible study looking at these patterns in real time. This is teaching from the valley, not the summit.
That's such a key distinction. We aren't shouting down from the mountaintop with all the answers. We're in the mud wrestling with this stuff right now alongside you. We're trying to figure out how to live this, not just memorize it.
Which means we might get some mud on the furniture, but I think that wrestling is necessary.
It is. Because one of the first things you learn when you really dive into this is, well, if the gospel doesn't offend you, you haven't understood it yet.
Okay, there's the tagline, but let's be real for a second. The concept we're unpacking today, this idea that God kills our self-sufficiency, it triggers immediate panic in me. I'm just being honest. I'm a high achiever.
Of course.
My whole life, my career, my parenting, it's all built on the premise of I can fix this.
And that's the binary algorithm talking. That's the code you've been running since you were a kid. It's your survival mechanism.
Maybe, but giving up sounds irresponsible. I mean, let's look at the real world. In business, in parenting, if I stopped thrashing, if I stopped trying to fix things, everything just collapses.
I hear that.
If I don't answer the email, the deal dies. If I don't discipline the kids, chaos ensues. It feels like you're asking me to drive a car off a cliff and just hope gravity stops working for a minute.
I hear that panic. I really do. But I want you to look at that feeling, that panic, really closely. What you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
That is the sound of the binary algorithm fighting for its life.
So it's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. That I can fix this reflex is the very thing that stands between you and the kingdom.
So you're telling me my responsibility, my drive to keep the lights on, that's actually my idol.
I'm saying your self-reliance is a fortress you've built to keep God out. We think we're being responsible, but a lot of the time we're just being controlling. And today, we're going to look at how God, in his mercy, starts to demolish that fortress.
Mercy. It sounds a lot like destruction to me.
It feels like destruction. But let's look at the source material. We're anchoring this whole dive in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Now, context here matters. This is Paul.
Right. Arguably the greatest missionary in history. The guy who wrote half the New Testament.
If anyone had the kingdom algorithm figured out, it was Paul.
Huh.
But listen to what he writes about his experience in Asia. He says, "For we were burdened beyond measure, above strength, so that we despaired even of life."
Whoa.
Yes, we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in God who raises the dead.
Okay, let's unpack that. Despaired even of life. That is so heavy. That's not, I had a bad day at the office.
Yeah.
That's not Q3 earnings were down. That is terminal desperation.
It's the end of the road. Paul is literally saying, I hit a wall so hard my entire toolkit broke. Every strategy, every connection, every bit of willpower, it all failed. He was crushed beyond his ability to endure it.
And the why. That's the part that gets me. Why would God let his top guy get so completely crushed like that?
The text is so explicit, it says it happened, that we should not trust in ourselves.
Ouch. That feels intentional.
It is incredibly intentional. See, we tend to view hitting rock bottom as a failure, or maybe as a punishment, like, oh, I must have messed up, God is mad at me. But in the kingdom economy, that sentence of death is not punishment, it's mercy.
Walk me through that. How is being crushed mercy?
Because God removes every alternative until only He remains. As long as you have a plan B, as long as you have one more card to play, one more favor to call in, you are still operating in the binary.
You're still trusting yourself.
You're still trusting in yourself. God allows the sentence of death to force the transition from self-trust to God-trust.
But I have to trust in myself. I'm the one paying the bills. If I don't trust in me, who pays the mortgage? The bank doesn't take faith as a deposit, you know?
And there it is again, the panic. That response is proof of what the sources call the four towers of the self-made fortress.
The four towers, I saw this in the notes. Break these down for me, because I have a feeling I'm living in at least 3 of them.
Oh, we all are. The first tower is intellectual self-sufficiency. I can outthink this problem. If I just strategize enough, I'll win.
Guilty. That's my go-to, 100%.
Second is legal and financial self-sufficiency. I have the contracts, the savings, the insurance. I'm covered.
Also guilty. But that's just being prudent, right?
Third is operational self-sufficiency. I can outwork everyone. I'll just grind until the problem goes away. And fourth is material self-sufficiency. I have the stuff, the resources to survive this.
I think I live in that fortress. I have a condo in that fortress. I might be the HOA president of that fortress.
Most of us are. And those towers are built for one specific purpose: to ensure we never actually need God. We want God as a consultant, not a savior.
We want him to bless our plans, not
replace them. But the death sentence comes to knock those towers down.
It forces you to shift your entire operating system.
Precisely. It connects directly to 2 Corinthians 5.7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. The death sentence forces you to stop looking at the visible evidence, the bank account, the metrics, the crumbling situation, and shift to invisible trust.
It's terrifying because the visible evidence is screaming fire, and you're saying, trust the invisible water.
It is terrifying. But it's the only way to get to the resurrection. You can't have a resurrection without a death.
Yeah.
If you skip the death, you just have, well, self-improvement.
You know, it's easy to read that one voice from Paul and think, okay, well, Paul was special. He was an apostle. Maybe he needed that extreme kind of breaking. But looking at the sources, this isn't a one-off thing, is it?
Not at all. This is the universal pattern of the kingdom. If you want to be used by God, you have to be broken. The sources highlight this prophetic pattern across 3 major figures: Jonah, Peter, and Paul.
The Jonah, Peter, Paul pattern. Okay, let's walk through these because I think seeing the repetition really drives it home. Start with Jonah.
So Jonah runs from the call. He thinks he can outrun God. That's his self-sufficiency talking. I know better than God where I should go. What happens? God sends a storm.
And Jonah gets thrown overboard.
Yeah.
The end.
Right. And here is the shift in perspective. We usually think of the great fish as the punishment. Jonah gets swallowed. It's the worst possible outcome. But the source material argues the fish wasn't an execution, it was a rescue vessel.
A very stinky, slimy rescue vessel.
The best kind. In Jonah chapter 2, he cries out from the belly of Sheol. That's the place of the dead. He had to reach the point where he was completely helpless, buried alive, before he could actually surrender. Only after his self-will died in that coffin could he obey.
So the fish was the death sentence that saved him from drowning in his own rebellion.
Exactly. He couldn't fix it. He couldn't swim his way out of a whale. He had to just be saved. Then you look at Peter. This one hits really close to home for us high achievers.
Oh, yeah. Peter is the ultimate, I got this guy.
He boasts. In Luke 22.33, he tells Jesus, Lord, I am ready to go with you both to prison and to death. And he isn't lying. He's intellectually and emotionally convinced of his own loyalty.
He is self-sufficient in his own devotion.
Totally. And we all know how that ends. It's just tragic.
It's so fast. In Luke 22, it says he denies Jesus 3 times. And then the rooster crows, and the text says, Peter went out and wept bitterly.
That moment, the weeping bitterly, that's the breaking.
Well, it's the death of his self-confidence.
The Peter who boasted had to die. Why? So the Peter of Acts could be born. When Jesus restores him in John 21, asking, do you love me? 3 times, he's reversing those denials. But the Peter who preaches at Pentecost, he isn't relying on his own boldness anymore.
Not at all.
He's relying entirely on the Spirit. His self-reliance had to be executed.
It's the same thing with Paul, right? The thorn in the flesh.
2 Corinthians 12.7, 10. Paul has this thorn, We don't know what it was. Maybe physical, maybe spiritual.
Hmm.
But it was a weakness, a limitation. And what does he do at first?
He uses the binary algorithm. He tries to fix it.
He does. He prays 3 times for God to remove it. God, take this away so I can be more effective for you.
He thinks his weakness is a liability. He's thinking if I'm 100% healthy, I'll get 100% results.
Right. And God just flips the script on him. He says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Paul had to stop trying to fix his circumstances. He had to learn that his power didn't come from his wholeness.
It came from his brokenness.
That
So the breaking is the prerequisite for the commissioning.
always. There is no other way. God kills self-sufficiency to resurrect dependence. It brings us right back to John 12:24. Most assuredly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much grain.
There it is, the 100x return. It only comes after the seed dies.
The seed that refuses to die, the one that stays safe in the silo, protecting itself, it remains alone. It caps out at 1x. But the death produces the harvest.
Okay, I'm tracking with you. I see the theology, I see the pattern, but I'm going to go back to my panic for a second.
Let's hear it.
Because while I get the wheat dying metaphor, I still have to wake up tomorrow and run a business.
Right.
If I accept this death sentence, if I say, okay, God, I'm done trusting in myself, what do I actually do? Do I just sit on the couch and wait for a check to show up in the mail? Do I stop parenting my kids? Because that sounds like negligence.
It sounds like quitting.
It does.
It's a valid question. And the answer is absolutely not. Surrender is not passivity. The sources introduce a very specific framework here, the antidote to self-reliance. It's called the watch, wait, work framework.
Watch, wait, work. Okay, let's break this down because I need something practical to replace my, panic fix panic cycle.
Think of this as the kingdom algorithm in practice. It completely reverses the binary order. In the binary world, we usually start with work. We work to force a result, then maybe we watch to see if it happened. Here, we start with watch.
Step 1, watch. And I assume this isn't watching Netflix.
No, this is about guarding your mind.
Mhm.
It's vigilance over what enters your headspace. In a crisis, what do you usually watch?
I watch the problem. I watch the bank account dropping. I watch the news. I watch the metrics that tell me I'm failing. I doom scroll.
Exactly. And watching those things just produces fear, which drives that self-reliant striving. Kingdom watching is different. It's based on Philippians 4:8. Whatever things are true, noble, just pure, lovely, of good report, meditate on these things.
So instead of obsessing over the collapse, I'm locking my attention on truth.
You're watching for what God is saying, not what the world is screaming. You're calibrating your mind to reality, not to the panic. You're guarding the inputs so the outputs don't become fear.
Okay, so I'm guarding my mind. Step 2, wait.
This is the killer for the high achiever.
Yeah, I already hate it. I want to skip this step so bad.
Waiting here means trusting God's timing. It means refusing to force the outcome. The source text is Isaiah 40:31. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength.
But can we be honest? Waiting feels like dying. When you see a problem, every fiber of your being screams, do something now.
Waiting feels like dying. You just nailed it. That's why it's part of the death sentence.
Yeah.
It is the death of your timeline. It is the death of your demand for immediate resolution. You're acknowledging you're not the timekeeper.
God is.
God is. It's active waiting, not sleeping. It's like standing at attention.
So I'm watching truth. I'm waiting on God's timing. Does that mean I never actually do anything?
No. Step 3 is work. But, and this is so critical, it is obedient action, not ambitious action.
What's the difference? Because from the outside, they might look exactly the same. I'm still sending an email or making a call.
Ambitious action is you initiating a plan to save yourself. It's frantic. It's fueled by adrenaline and fear. It's you kicking down a door. Obedient action is you moving because the shepherd told you to move. It's calm. It's fueled by faith. It's you walking through a door. He opened.
Okay, that is a massive distinction.
James 2:17 says, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. We are called to work. But in the kingdom, work is the response to God's direction, not the engine of your survival.
So in the binary, I work to make things happen. In the kingdom, I watch, and I wait until I know what God wants, and then I work to obey him.
Precisely. It's the difference between rowing a boat against the current, exhausting, self-reliant, and raising a sail. You still have to raise the sail, that's work, but the power comes from the wind.
That actually sounds like relief.
It is. It's the end of the thrashing. You stop trying to be the savior of your own life. You resign from the position of general manager of the universe.
We have covered a lot of ground here. We've gone from the panic of the binary algorithm to the crushing mercy of the death sentence.
And we've seen that this isn't random cruelty. God isn't bullying us.
No, it's a rescue operation.
The death sentence is the mercy that stops you from destroying yourself with the binary algorithm. It's the only thing strong enough to break the illusion that you are in control.
We have to move from I can fix this to I cannot, but he can.
And until you really believe I cannot, until you really hit that wall, until you've wept bitterly like Peter or sat in the belly of the fish like Jonah, you'll never fully lean into he can.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a question. And it's not a comfortable one.
No, it's a diagnostic.
We want to challenge you. What self-sufficiency has God been trying to kill that you keep resuscitating?
What are you keeping on life support? Is it your career anxiety, your need to control your children's future, your financial security blanket? What is the thing you are terrified to let die?
Because whatever that is the very thing standing between you and the resurrection.
And remember, this is just the beginning of the demolition.
That's right. We are just getting started. Over the next 5 episodes in Phase 1, we are going to be demolishing specific personal idols. We're coming for intellectualism.
We're coming for hidden corruption, hypocrisy, comfort addiction, and ego is calling.
It's going to get messy.
And then in Phase 2, we zoom out and demolish the systems the Western Church has built. By episode 15, if we do this right,
You'll be standing in rubble.
but that's where the rebuilding begins.
Exactly.
Thank you for going on this dive with us. Don't just listen to this. Wrestle with it.
Read 2 Corinthians 1. Ask yourself the hard questions. And stop trying to fix it. We'll see you in the next one.